Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Before we get started, just a quick warning for everybody waiting for your daily dose of Jingles. The videos that I'm putting up over the next week are probably going to be a little shorter than you're used to. And that's because we're having some work done in the house. Insulation put into the walls. There's a lot of work going on during the day. And it's very, very difficult for me to actually get any commentary recorded without constantly being interrupted by hammers and drills, and it's going to be going on for about a week or so, and then normal service will be resumed. I do already have a whole bunch of Project Man Cave videos ready and uploaded, so you'll be getting 2 videos a day for the next few days at the very least, so it's not going to be such a blow to morale. Anyway, what we have here is my AMX48, the French Tier 8 tank destroyer. And the reason I'm putting this video up is I very, very recently unlocked the AMX50 Foch, the French Tier 9 tank destroyer, and retired my AMX48. And so this video is a sort of retrospective on a sort of then and now with the AMX48. This game is over a year old. This was way back in patch 8.4. I hadn't had this thing for very long, and I'm still using the 100mm gun. I haven't yet unlocked the 120. And this match started out as a bit of a disaster. I could not hit this ELC for love nor money. And so far, as far as I know, I haven't done any damage at all. I was exchanging fire with something that I couldn't see all the way down the bottom of the railroad tracks, and then this ELC pops up and artillery has to kill him himself. So I've basically been completely ineffective at the start of this game. Now, one thing I will say about the AMX48, it's quite a pleasant grind as far as the weaponry on it goes. Grinding out the XP that you need for the 120mm gun with the 100mm gun is perfectly doable, and in some respects the 100mm gun is actually better than the 120 because it has a much faster aiming time. And in common with almost all of the other French tank destroyers, the 48 has a very narrow gun traverse. And so if you're shooting at targets that are moving quickly at close range, you stand a better chance of hitting them with a 100mm gun than the 120, even though I managed to completely miss that ELC. Of course, the only problem with the 48 is that while its frontal armour is pretty good, it's only pretty good until it fails you. The 48 only has 1,000 health, and at Tier 8, well, that's usually only good enough for taking 3 hits, and then you're dead. Did I mention that the start of this game was a bit of a disaster? I've almost managed to get myself stuck in here, and I can't get around there, not with the wreck of a T-28 prototype blocking the road. So if I want to help this Tiger II, I'm going to have to go the long way around. And there's the opening I need, and we've got a T-150 coming around as well. And we should have this. Of course, back in patch 8.4, absolutely anything could stop your shot from hitting the target. You couldn't fire through obstacles the way you can now. So I totally donked that shot on the Black Prince. Finally get around, put one into the Tiger, get in close, try to deny him a shot at my lower glacis, but he penetrates me anyway, and I'm on perilously low health, and I've only taken 2 hits. Okay, next they've got a pair of Tier 6 mediums. T-3485, the Cromwell can't hit me because he's behind the T-3485. I back off. Cromwell gets taken out. Now, as I mentioned, the good thing about this 100mm gun is the quick aiming time, which allows me to get kills like that. At times, once you've upgraded to the 120mm gun, it's got an almost 3-second aiming time. At times it feels like you're firing a Russian 122mm. It really is that slow. And the slow aiming time has cost me a lot of kills and a lot of damage. Purely and simply because by the time you're fully aimed, somebody else has normally got a shot in. Or, if you're impatient and you fire before you're fully aimed, you're going to miss. And a lot of the French guns are like that. And not just on the tank destroyers. The French light tanks, medium tanks and heavy tanks also tend to suffer from the problem of having a very, very long aiming time. And when you're driving something that only fires 5 or 6 shots, the consequences of missing, because you didn't wait until it was fully aimed, can get you killed. And that's why using what's in theory the best gun on a French machine isn't necessarily always the right way to go. It depends on your driving style, of course, but grinding out the AMX48 with the 100mm gun from the AMX46 isn't a bad experience. And I think we can safely say we've got this game in the bag. They've got 2 tier 8 heavies left. They're both on full health, but they only have 2 tier 8 heavies left, and we're just going to overwhelm them. Now, of course, the second either of these two guys see me, they're going to want me dead, because I'm a one-shot kill, and that's one less gun shooting back at them. So I'm going to have to be careful. There's one in the IS-3, and he's hit again. Need to wait for him to fire, or have his gun pointing the other way. Kill secured. Just the KV-4 left, and he's also on full health. Gonna have to use my teammates as cover here. He's been pushed from both sides, so I'll stay behind this Tiger 2. Angle that armour, and I'm safe. And he doesn't know which way to point his gun, and he's giving me the side of his turret, so you know, I'll quite happily take the side of his turret. And that's my first Top Gun in the AMX48. So, 1 year later, here I am on Prokhorovka. It's an encounter battle, and this game initially looked like it was going to be an even bigger disaster than the start of the one that I just showed you. Of course, by now this is fully upgraded. I've got the 120mm gun, and you'll see the difference in the aiming time between the two guns. Judge for yourself which one you think you prefer. Oh, bonus feature, in both of these replays I'm not platooned. There's nobody to carry me and make me look good. Right, I'm having to do it all myself in these two games. And it's Prokhorovka encounter, and nobody's going up the top of the hill. And I can't believe what I'm seeing here. In Prokhorovka encounter, if both teams have tanks in the cap circle, the team that controls the hill wins the game. And I am the only person going for the top of the hill. It's a tier 9 game. I just can't believe what my team is doing. And look at the map. Look at the amount of tanks that are heading for the hill. At this point, I almost just quit out in disgust. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but I kept on. This was a ×5 XP event. I needed this win. I get a win here, I unlock the AMX50 Foch. But I don't want to die up here for nothing. So this is as far forward as I'm going. I'm keeping as many bushes as possible between myself and that M103 that was climbing up the hill, so that these guys ain't going to see me when I fire. So there's first blood on that T-34. And none of those guys down there in the cap circle can see me up here because of the amount of cover that is between me and them. My one worry, of course, is all of those enemy tanks coming up the hill from the other side. Not to mention, they've got an ISU 152 giving them covering fire from behind. And I really don't want to get shot at by any of those guys. The second they realise I'm the only one up here, I'm dead meat. Okay, that shot missed, but it blew his cover away. So maybe I can get him with a second shot. Yeah, looking good. Now you see, compared to the 100mm gun, the really slow aiming time of this 120. This kind of range is ideal for the AMX48. Because those targets, no matter how fast they're moving, they're so far away that you can cover their passage with the natural traverse of the gun. You never have to move the hull of the machine. And as long as we've got people in the cap circle spotting these guys, I can sit up here all day doing this if I have to. This is why you have to get people onto the hill if you're doing encounter on Prokhorovka. And it was around about now where I started to realise that I'm probably going to be able to do this for the rest of the game. My coming up here in this game turned out to be the smartest move that anybody made on both teams, because I'm the only one here. Nobody on the enemy team is trying to actually push up the hill. Nobody on my team is up here competing with me for the kills. And it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Enemy tanks just keep popping up and I keep shooting them and they keep dying. And nobody's trying to stop me. Equally importantly, I'm not having to compete with anybody else for the kills because I'm up here alone. Okay. Well, there's nobody in the cap circle now, on either team. Everybody in there has died. So I'm going to have to start spotting my own targets. And that's going to be risky. Now, this spot here is great for spotting targets, but there's not enough cover here to keep you hidden when you start firing. And I've had some fun up here. I'd really like to continue without being interrupted. So that position is fantastic for a scout, not so good for a tank destroyer. So I'm having second thoughts. And yep, I think I see a better spot. Keeping an eye on where that M103 and his little friend are going. They're not showing any inclination to come up here and root me out. Still kind of worried about that ISU-152, who's last spotted right there ahead of me. Scanning the bushes, seeing if I can see him. Didn't see anything, but that doesn't mean he isn't there. Now there's a tiger down there on 300 health, and he's a one-shot kill. But you have to ask yourself, potentially you could be exposing yourself to fire not just from the tiger and the M103, but from an ISU-152 behind them. And is that really worth taking the risk just to kill a tier 7 heavy tank when you can stay here in cover, take pot shots at those tanks that just popped up down at the other end of the railway embankment? And it's really not worth the risk. Not when you can stay concealed and still do damage to the enemy team. Tempting though it may be, just to get another kill. Far better to stay concealed, keep your gun in play, keep doing damage to targets that don't know where you are, than give your position away and risk getting yourself killed. And there's a much juicier target, the M103. And his little friend behind him as well. Now we'll keep firing at the M103. Oh, he's seen me. But he can't hit my lower glacis. Not at that angle. Of course, it's not him I'm worried about. It's the ISU-152. So one more shot at his commander's hatch. Yeah, he's gone. And that one didn't go in. He'd have been dead if that one had gone in. I took a hit from something there, but it wasn't a lot of damage. And I might have been pushing my luck a little here, but the ISU's been located down in the general area where this IS is. And I've pulled back and I've got concealment between myself and the guys that I'm shooting at again, so I'm reasonably confident I've dropped off their radar because whoever shot at me hasn't shot at me again. So I'm reasonably sure that once again they have no idea where I am. And again I'm in the perfect spot. AT-15, dodgy shot. Good enough. Now, 3 of them left. Only one I can see is that T-29. And he's taking fire from someone. Of course, that means his attention is going to be focused elsewhere, so I can probably get him from behind. Yep, perfect. M103 and the IS here are in trouble. Don't need to worry about them. I can take my time racking up XP and credits on this T-29, and he doesn't know which way to turn his gun. It doesn't matter who he faces, he's going to get shot on the side of the turret by somebody. If it's not me, it's going to be the T-30 or the Rheinmetall Borsig. And so this game is over. And that ended up being the last game that I played in my AMX48. That amount of XP right there, 8,490, was enough to unlock the Foch. Times 5 for the first win of the day, hence the ridiculous number. But, you know, if you look at the team, their team was actually better than ours. There were 6 players on our team who did nothing. They just got shot at and died. There were 4 players on their team who did nothing, just got shot at and died. And I'm not judging them. You know, anybody can have a bad game. God knows I've had enough of those myself. But what it basically boiled down to was us 3 at the top, Collard 2 in the T30, Fusions in the Borsig, and me in the 48, just carrying the weight. And of course, it didn't hurt that the enemy team didn't send anybody to the top of the hill. If both teams have tanks in the cap circle on Prokhorovka encounter, the team that controls the top of the hill is going to win. It's as simple as that. And nobody went up there other than me. So kind of lucky, but you know, it's you need a bit of luck, and it's capitalizing on that luck. That's what gets you the good results. Mad props, by the way, to the Tiger drivers on both teams. This guy here finished 4th. Coalacy, 1600 damage, 1250 spot and damage. That's not bad for a tier 7 heavy tank driver in a tier 9 game. But especially this poor guy here on the enemy team, Danny Camo. 3,612 damage done, 3,800 potential damage received, and 1,000 spotting damage. But it just wasn't enough. So yeah, that was alright. That was the game that finally put the AMX48 to bed. After this match I had enough XP to research the Foch. So, hell of a way to kiss the old machine goodbye. As always folks, take care on the battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.